The CBS Sunday Morning studio was humming with its usual Sunday calm. Soft jazz music played as makeup artists made final touches, stagehands moved silently with practiced precision, and Tony Dokoupil reviewed his note cards with a measured focus. Today's guest was none other than Jennifer Lopez, a global icon, powerhouse performer, and someone not unfamiliar with high-stakes interviews. But what was supposed to be a glowing segment about her latest film and creative renaissance soon began unraveling the moment she arrived. Jennifer stepped onto the set dressed in a sleek, ivory jumpsuit, exuding star power. Her team trailed behind her, whispering instructions, straightening creases, adjusting lighting demands. She offered Tony a polite, practiced smile as they exchanged pleasantries, but the warmth felt off. "Jennifer, thanks for being here," Tony said, extending a hand. "Of course," she replied smoothly, though her eyes darted toward her assistant with a subtle shake of the head. "Let's keep this tight, I've got rehearsals." Tony nodded, unfazed. They settled into their iconic yellow chairs as cameras rolled. The introduction was breezy. They touched on her upcoming role in an independent drama, her work as a producer, and a recent humanitarian initiative in Puerto Rico. But Tony, ever the journalist, gradually shifted gears. "There's been a lot of conversation lately, not just about your career, but about your personal life," he said, gently. "Do you feel that kind of scrutiny helps or hinders your artistry?" Jennifer's expression shifted, barely, but noticeably. "I think people have always tried to define me by the headlines. I let the work speak for itself." Tony leaned in. "Fair, but the headlines are loud. There's talk of a rift on the set of your last movie. Rumors about your marriage. Do you think all of that distracts from who you really are?" She gave a tight smile. "I think what distracts is people trying to turn every interview into a tabloid column." Tony didn't flinch. "I'm not here to sensationalize, Jennifer. I'm here to understand. These things are part of your public narrative, surely they affect your work, even your brand." Jennifer's eyebrows arched. "My brand," she repeated, her tone ice cold. "You think this is about branding?" "Not in a negative sense," Tony said, trying to steady the energy. "I mean, Jennifer Lopez is a brand. From music to movies to fashion, you're one of the most recognizable figures in pop culture." She crossed her legs and tilted her head, her demeanor sharp now. "Let me ask you something, Tony. When you sit across from male actors, do you ever ask them if their marriages affect their brand?" Tony hesitated. "When relevant to the public narrative, sure. We talk about their lives, their challenges. But you didn't open with that, did you?" She snapped. "You opened with my film, and within 5 minutes we're talking about divorce rumors." From behind the cameras, producers exchanged worried glances. The interview had swerved off course. Tony tried to recover. "I think the audience is interested in the whole story. The artist and the human being." Jennifer cut him off, her voice rising now. "No, you're interested in a viral clip. You want J.Lo loses it on TV for your ratings. I don't do cheap TV." Without warning, she pulled the microphone from her collar and let it drop to the floor with a soft thud. Her chair creaked as she stood. "I'm done," she said curtly, not bothering to look back as she strode off the set. Silence hung in the air. No one moved. Tony sat motionless, still holding his cue card, as the director whispered into the headset, cut the feed." The interview was over, but the fallout had just begun. Backstage at CBS Sunday Morning, the mood was chaos. Masked under professionalism, Jennifer's entourage followed her brisk pace down the hallway, her heels clacking hard against the polished floor. Her face was stone cold, her jaw tight. A young producer jogged beside her, headset bobbing. "Ms. Lopez, we can try again. We can cut the segment, reset." Jennifer didn't break stride. "You don't ambush people and then ask for second chances." Her assistant opened the side exit to her waiting black SUV. Before stepping in, Jennifer turned back to her team. "Get my statement ready. I'm not letting them spin this." Meanwhile, back in the studio, the air was thick with stunned silence. Tony sat in the now empty interview chair, blinking slowly as he processed what had just occurred. The control room crackled with quiet panic. "Do we air it?" a junior producer asked hesitantly. "No," said executive producer Helen Marsh sharply. "Not like this. We need to review everything." Helen stepped onto the floor and approached Tony gently. "You okay?" Tony exhaled, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "Yeah, I didn't expect her to walk. I was just trying to do the job." He looked up at the production monitor, which was now frozen on a still of Jennifer mid-exit, expression fierce. Within hours, snippets of what happened were already leaking onto the internet. Someone on set had secretly recorded Jennifer's explosive exit on their phone. The video, cropped, blurry, and missing context, spread like wildfire. The caption read, J. Lo storms off CBS after being asked about her personal life. Was Tony out of line? By mid-afternoon, it had racked up 3.2 million views. Comment sections ignited with debate. Fans rushed to defend Jennifer, citing double standards and media exploitation. The post garnered over 4 million likes in 24 hours, with fellow celebrities like Viola Davis, Kerry Washington, and Zendaya commenting their support. Behind closed doors, CBS executives were in turmoil. While the publicity had drawn massive attention, it was the wrong kind of attention for a legacy show known for calm, in-depth journalism. A decision was made: the interview would not air in its full form. Only a short, pre-approved portion, focusing solely on her film, would be broadcast. No mention of the walkout. No commentary. A quiet cleanup. Tony was told to lay low for a few weeks. Jennifer canceled her remaining CBS appearances. And just like that, two media giants who once shared a stage became unwilling adversaries in the court of public opinion, reminding everyone that behind the polished smiles of morning TV and celebrity charm lies a world as combustible as any headline. The next day, Jennifer's Instagram Live was still dominating the news cycle. Mainstream outlets scrambled to analyze every word. Morning shows dissected her statement, and media critics took sides. But what caught the industry's attention wasn't just her words, it was the way she took control. In a media world built on polished PR, J.Lo had gone rogue, and it worked. Behind the scenes at CBS headquarters, a storm was brewing. Internal Slack channels were buzzing with heated discussions. Did Tony push too far? Was this poor producing, or did Jennifer overreact? The executive team called a closed-door meeting. Tony was there, seated stiffly in a navy blazer, looking less like the charismatic morning host and more like a man who had just walked into a corporate ambush. Helen Marsh, the show's executive producer, led the charge. Tony, you're one of our most respected voices. But this got away from us. Tony's jaw tightened. I asked fair questions. She walked out. That's not on me. A silence settled over the room. Then, one of the younger producers spoke up. Maybe not, but perception is reality now. You may have been right. But she owned the narrative before we even responded. Tony glanced at the notes in front of him, his original outline for the interview. The first 15 questions had been entirely about her career. The personal topics had only come after her team promised no restrictions. He had followed the plan. Still, he was the one being told to step back. Outside the network, public response remained polarized. Some critics began scrutinizing CBS Sunday Morning's approach, digging into past interviews. Why were female guests often asked about family, while male guests were celebrated for their work? Media blogs started publishing op-eds. Tony Dokoupil is not the villain. The system is. J. Lo's walkout is the wake-up call journalism needed. At home, Tony found little solace. His wife, fellow journalist Katie Tur, was supportive but honest. You handled it well, she told him one night. But maybe this is bigger than you. Bigger than her. It's about how we frame people. Especially women. That hit him harder than he expected. Meanwhile, Jennifer Lopez was riding a wave of empowered momentum. The clip of her saying, "I don't do cheap TV," was now on t-shirts, mugs, even phone cases on Etsy. Fans dubbed her walkout the Jexit, and viral fan edits reimagined her storming off as a victory march. She wasn't just defending herself anymore. She had become a symbol for every woman tired of having to justify her personal choices under the guise of journalism. But Jennifer wasn't vengeful, just exhausted. In an interview with Vogue, she opened up. Greater than, I've built a career over decades. I've earned the right to be seen as an artist, not a tabloid headline. I don't regret walking off. I regret that I had to. The article went viral instantly. It reframed the entire incident as a pivotal moment in modern media, where boundaries were drawn, not crossed. In the weeks that followed, CBS initiated internal policy changes. New training was implemented on interview framing, gender bias, and consent-based questioning. The move was subtle, but meaningful. As for Tony Dokoupil, he took a month-long leave. Not suspended, but suggested. He spent the time reflecting, reading, listening. When he returned, he opened his next segment not with a celebrity interview, but with a monologue.